you won. Oh shoot! Wait. Can you? Oh shoot! I gotta turn this off. We are live. Hey everybody! Welcome to Hack Shack Studios. I'm your host, Art Thibert. I'm the lead hack here at the Shack. So I am a 35-year comic book veteran of this wacky industry that most of us know and love. Some people not so much love. There's a little bit of a discontent. There's some craziness going in comics right now, but we won't talk about that. We have with us the amazingly talented Rich Birdsall, who, if you don't know, used to work here a while back. So we are going to talk to him for the next 40 minutes, maybe an hour until we wear him out. So, without further ado, hey Richard, how are you?
This is the sound of my voice.
This is the sound of music.
These dual set tones. Boy, it has been a while, huh? How many years has it been?
I don't know.
I'm now, after my son was born, I count everything, since the time of Jack. So I'm like 3.5 years. So if he was here when that happened, that's pretty much all. I go by dad time now.
So it's been 3.5 years?
3.5 years. That's it. It could have been 10, but I'm going to go with 3.5.
I think it's been at least a decade.
Yeah, actually it has been. That's been a long time. I think my back is slowly straightening. After all the surgeries.
From inking?
It's excessive sitting. I wish I could say it was like dramatic, like a motorcycle accident or something. Although, okay, when I was young.
Well, wait. Let's catch everybody up to who Rich Birdsall is before we start getting into that. So I think people are going to want to know who Rich Birdsall is and why we're going to spend the next hour talking to him.
Oh, you guys are in for a treat.
There's no one in the chat yet. We need people in the chat.
That's cool.
We'll wait for them. We'll just not talk anymore, and we'll just wait for everybody to get into the chat.
That's right. We'll just do circles, just at an airport, do another lap. I started at Hack Shack as an ink assistant doing blacks through it was a mutual friend, and I remember one day I was at Starbucks. I was hanging out with him, and he said, "I work in comic books." I was like, "Wow, okay, that is the coolest thing ever."
It is.
Draw. The idea.
Yeah, comics are cool.
And he had some photocopies he showed me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I treated those things like gold. I just looked in his trunk at these photocopies, and I was like, "Oh, I'll take each one really carefully." Like,
do you remember what the photocopies were of?
I think it was X-Men.
Ooh. Ultimate X-Men. You went in head first. Wait, we have people in the chat now. Yay. Never Cold. So he's here. Thank you. He's got a shower.
I'll say.
He's a stinky Never Cold. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Not at all, man. And what up, bud? He showed me these. He never told me they were photocopies at the time. I thought they were actually pages. Because I had never seen a comic book page in my life. So I treat these things like gold.
So were these full 11 by 17s? They were the shot down?
Little 8.5 by 11.
Okay.
Small, but they were beautiful. And I was like, "This is the most amazing. You worked on these?" He's like, "Yeah."
So these are Dave Finch pencils.
And there was some, I think, Bagley Ultimate Spider-Man, I think.
Okay.
At the time. And I remember thinking like, "Oh, I couldn't do this. I couldn't work in ink. Like one mistake." And I even asked him, I said, "What happens if you make a mistake? I mean, you're working in ink." He's like, "You don't." And that freaked me out.
You don't make mistakes, Rich.
He stuck in my head. And for the first 6 months, I was petrified of making a mistake. So I used rulers and templates, and I used an actual rapidograph, a little yellow, I forget what size those things are, to black entire pages. Those pages were the densest, blackest pages in the history of comic books. I used a rapidograph because I didn't want to accidentally use a brush and bump a line. I didn't even know how to use a brush. I'm like, that's for pros. I have nothing. So yeah, for 6 months I didn't bump a line until one day I did, and I said, "That's it. I'm fired. I'm out of here." And I went up to him and I was like, "Art, I am so sorry. I can't believe I let my brain just slip. I bumped this line." And I remember you asking like, "Where?" I'm like, "Right here." And you're like, "Where?" It's like, "Here." You're like, "Okay, well, just be careful." And that was it. And I was like, "Oh, thank God. Oh, I got off easy on this one." But never again. 3 months later.
Because the guy you were talking to
Yeah.
scared the poop out of you, right?
He scared the crap out of you. I thought, if I bump a line, it's permanent. There's nothing you can do to change it. Because on this page, I didn't see any kind of, corrections on it. I didn't see anything but just perfect black ink.
Right.
And then 3 months later, I bumped another line. It was a pipe on a building, and I bumped a line. I was like, that's it. This time I am gone. 2 strikes, I'm out. And you went, well, that's cool. And you shook a little whiteout pin, dabbed it, and it was done. And I went, are you serious?
See, all I ask for is that you hip me to it, because then I can fix it. The worst part is like when people when they make mistakes,
Sure.
and they just try to slide it in.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I'm doing all the corrections, it's almost like Find Waldo.
Yeah.
Then I have to go over everything and find the mistakes. But if the honor system works, then it makes it easier to get things done faster. And always the bottom line, remember? Get it done faster. So it was always get it done quickly. So just to back up, we got Pixel Trader. He's got a wrench, man. He can control this this chat if he wants to. He can turn a wrench. He can mess people around. So hey, if you guys don't know, Pixel Trader has an Indiegogo up right now where he has his trading card set. They're metal trading cards. I saw them in San Diego. He let me see some prototypes, and they were, dare I say, bitchin'.
That is brilliant. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, I said bitchin' once to my mom, and she squirted liquid soap in my mouth. I'm not even kidding, man.
Was it like Dial?
Yeah, no, yeah, I don't know. It was probably Dawn. It was like dish soap.
It was Lifebuoy. It was right out of Christmas Story.
No, it was in the kitchen. Well, Lifebuoy, that's like you wash your body with that, right?
Yeah, it's like a big bar of soap.
Oh, yeah, bar of soap. Yeah. No, I don't know if I was more fortunate to take the liquid shot or the bar of soap shot.
Well, the bar gets stuck in your teeth. The liquid you could spit out pretty readily.
Yeah.
The bar, you're chewing on that for a while.
Yeah, because it's probably like in between your teeth.
Yeah.
And
If you have braces, God help you.
Oh, if you have braces, it's over, man. You're going to be tasting that soap for weeks. So, yeah, Nevercool says bitchin'. So, yeah, you guys check out. And, hey, Pixel, if you want to put a link to your card site, since you have a wrench, go ahead and put a link. He already did. Look at that. We're intuitive, man. So, yeah, go check out Cover Crashers. And let's continue with making mistakes at Hack Shack Studios with Rich Birdsall.
Oh, I got really good with whiteout. Let's just put it that way, because we started moving fast, and I was really good with templates. But that was the problem too. I relied 100% on templates. The idea of freehanding a line with a nib, it blew my mind. I'd watch everyone do it over and over again. I was just like, I don't know how you guys do this. So everything I did, every line was really stiff. It was all French curves. It was all stencils, and man, it took me a long time to get comfortable. But once I got good with the idea of using whiteout, I could correct mistakes, hatching. I could do all that stuff, no problem. So I got good at fixing things.
Yeah. The thing is, at the studio at the time, there would be multiple people working, and so each one would be at various places of, I guess, of competence. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things, this is the old studio. I used to train, new inkers, and we would do multiple projects for Marvel and DC. And I think at the time when Rich was there, we were probably jumbling between 4 to 6 books between Marvel and DC a month. So that's like 4 to 6 pages a day that we were getting done. So we were quite the assembly line machine in those days. And so it was kind of like a ladder. That's the way I always looked at it. So, you'd start at whatever rung, your talent was at when you came in the studio. Mm-hmm. And then you would just take steady rung steps up until you made it to, like, I guess backgrounds, mm-hmm. or inking background figures or whatever it was. So it was always set up to where it wasn't so monumental of a hurdle. So you weren't just thrown in, all at once, head first into the deep end. It was kind of a gradual based on your talent and how quickly you could build up your your tool, your skill set. Yes. So if I remember right, I think you built up pretty darn quick.
Once I got over that petrifying fear of making, the smallest mistake, I'll never forgive that guy. If I ever see him in a dark alley, he's gonna get a nib to the throat. But yeah, I got to the point where I felt pretty comfortable with those things. And here's the coolest thing about working with you is it was the encouragement on top of it was genuinely merit based. I mean, if there was opportunity, and you wanted to try something new, you wanted to move up, you'd give us things to work on, things to practice, and it was a constant growth. And every day I'm like, man, I wish I had the skills I have now then. I could fly through a page. Like, that's what it feels like now.
Yeah.
With the confidence, you get older and you start getting confident and you just get better. But yeah, at that time it was, all the figures were done. It took me a long time to get through a page. I do it, but things were a little, stiff. The weights weren't quite there. But it was, genuinely fun to kind of look over your shoulder once in a while and just watch, just watch things go. I'll occasionally watch your videos, the works in progress, and it's such a blast from the past to kind of see those things again. I remember watching that on Spider-Man. One sticks out, that Sandman page on Bagley. It's a double page spread. That stands out in my head as one of those pages where my jaw was open the whole time.
I think I had to finish that just before I left to New York, right? So I think I brought that page with me and handed it off at Marvel.
That is brilliant. It was so much fun to watch.
That was nuts, all that texture on the Sandman and stuff.
Yeah, I remember hearing a couple people was like, you set the bar really high on this one. Yeah, that was a blast. It was right. My first book I was working on was Ultimate Spider-Man, and then The Call.
Oh, that was Dave Finch's first Marvel work.
Yeah, it was like 6.
The Call of Duty or something like
that. Like a fireman.
Yeah.
It was The Call. Yeah, I think that was like right before Ultimate X-Men, or maybe during. I forget which.
Yeah, it was right after 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good times. Not really. That was some pretty crazy times.
The deadlines, yeah, those were. I remember running after the FedEx truck more than once. I remember chasing him down one time in a car. He did not appreciate that. I followed him like 4 or 5 stops, and at the end he was like, "I can't take a box from any person. I gotta take it from a box." Like, well, where's the box? He's like, "I'm done. I can't take it." And I'm like, the drive of shame back in the studio because I was literally seconds late.
Yeah, we used to work all the way down to the wire on pages on deadline. So sometimes we would have whoever wasn't, working on getting that specific page done, we would have that person go out and basically stall for time for the FedEx, because we worked it. It was like what would you call that? Like just an office complex, and there was a FedEx box out there. So we'd have somebody go out and say, "Hey, how you doing?"
Do card tricks.
Yeah, it's like nice day, right? What about those Lakers? Yeah.
And this person was so impatient. They're like, "Listen, I gotta go. I know what you're doing." And they're like, "No, he's coming right now. I just saw him sealing the box." Meanwhile, we're inside frantically, still brushing. It's wet still. All the pages.
Sometimes we'd be running out there, like still inking and like sealing the Federal Express box as the guy's driving off. Yeah, it was pretty nuts. But we managed to get everything done and keep our word, because that's the main thing in this business, is to keep your word. Sometimes it's really hard to do, but if you're going to jumble, 4 to 6 books a month, or juggle 4 to 6 books a month, you have to keep your word.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I do remember that, because we'd get in and I lived about an hour and a half away for a lot of that time, so I had to commute on a motorcycle. So occasionally I would actually just sleep on the ground and get up and just start inking 6 in the morning, because I just wasn't fast enough yet, and I just remember that feeling. All right, wake up. I didn't even brush my teeth. Thank God I was in the desk farthest away from everybody, because it would have killed someone with morning breath.
You had that whole corner in the other room. Yeah, you had quite the spread.
Yeah, I had a big cork board with all my tools on it. I had I had a blanket all the time, and that was honestly some of the most fun was each day just talking with everybody all at once, and then we pick music. Everyone will get a chance to pick the CD to go on, and every once in a while it would be one of those like, who can hurt the entire studio the most
with their musical choices.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'd pick an album that would just crush the soul of everybody.
Was it Doug brought in Hall & Oates, and we were like, yeah, we can deal with Hall & Oates, right? Oh, thank you so much, Pixel. Thank you. We got the Chrono link. I'll get on that after I make this little story point. And so he brings in Hall & Oates, and we looked at it and we're like, we can deal with Hall & Oates. Like, because what is it, like 15 songs, 12 songs, right. Whatever. And then we looked at it, it was a double disc.
Yeah,
do you remember that?
It was a marathon. It was before lunch. It was like between like 7 and 12. It was nothing but Hall & Oates.
Yeah, it wasn't just like 45 minutes of Hall & Oates. It was almost 2 hours of Hall & Oates. And I must admit, he almost broke me.
He broke me easy. I remember like looking at him like, why are you not crying? He's like, well, I like this stuff.
I bought this damn thing.
I bought this on purpose. And to be fair, I had my fair share of really bad albums, and this broke me big time. I think I had brought like an Amy Grant CD in that it was like one of my wife's old albums, and I had it in the car, and I'm like, oh, this would be perfect. And I didn't realize just how much blowback I did it. Like, I crushed myself.
You hurt yourself on that one.
I was like, oh, this isn't even fun anymore. Next time I need to know one that I like that no one else will like.
Yeah, you have to. It has to be a guilty pleasure of yours, but
Yes.
something that you can tolerate. Yeah.
It couldn't be just bad music.
Otherwise,
period.
you're going down with everybody else.
I can't go for that. It was a man-eater.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
It was the man-eater. So Pixel... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And to be fair, Never Cold, Amy, it wasn't my album.
Look at Never Cold, yeah.
All right, okay, maybe...
No, it was his album, Never Cold. He's lying.
That's true. I had Sandy Patty albums and Amy Grant. What's another Christian singer back in the day?
Striper.
Ooh,
that's all I know. But
right.
Striper would have been cool. Yeah. And then there was Guardian. I think it was Guardian.
Blind Guardian.
No, it wasn't Blind Guardian. That's another band. It was just, I think it was something Guardian or something, Guardian Angel or something like that. And they were another Christian rock band, kind of like Striper.
Oh, yeah, I know the way. Okay,
yeah, I was roommates with the guitar player Tony Palacios, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what did they have? Gosh, it'll come back to me. One of the songs. It's like Saints Battalion or something like
Saints
that.
Battalion.
Yeah, it was like Saints Battalion.
That's scar tissue in my brain. I remember that. And I just hear your drumsticks in the other room because you had a set of drumsticks that would break out every once in a while, and you just be bashing away on your art desk.
On the back of my chair. Yeah.
That was just to kind of get up and walk around and get the blood flowing. Also, the drumsticks. And then they'd spin, and then you go, "Thank you, good night," and throw them at us.
I throw them at somebody. Yeah. So there's a link in the chat that Pixel was kind enough to put up, and if you guys do not know, we have a Indiegogo pre-launch page set up, and so if you click the link there that Pixel was nice enough to put up, you can sign up in advance, and everybody that signs up for the pre-launch will get access or have access to all the exclusive goodies that we are going to offer in that campaign. So this is still real early on, so we haven't really made any big, bold announcements or anything. So we're kind of chugging along with some early promotion for this and getting the word out. So that's what that link is there. So if you guys that are in the chat, mainly Never Cold and Amy Grant, maybe Amy Grant will want to sign up.
It'll be an autographed CD. It'll be one of the collectibles.
Yeah, she can sign up for the Chrono Mechanics up and coming Indiegogo book. So it's going to be a 48-page comic that I'm putting together now. So we will give you more details as they progress. So thank you. So let's get back to memory lane here. So.
For real.
So I'm throwing drumsticks at people. We're listening to Amy Grant.
Amy Grant, yeah, those were the days. Why are these good memories? No, I remember, I for the first time, like my body had been sedentary for a long. I came from Starbucks where you're up and walking around and moving a lot, and I remember one day leaning forward, and all of a sudden my stomach got in my way when I was about to put pen to paper, and I'm like, where the hell did this come from? And I was like, okay, that's why my jeans are tight. my stomach's in the way. I got fat. Like, I gained 35 pounds, and it was because my wife and I, we just gotten married, and we qualified for this little credit card with a limit of $250. And I remember going out to lunch like every day and just eating like a king. And I was like, okay, I will be damned if I buy bigger jeans. That'll be giving up. So I basically starved myself. I starved, which is not the healthiest way to lose weight, until I lost all that weight. But I was like, okay, this is dangerous. I gotta watch what I eat.
Okay, this is another thing. We'll have to look into this. This is not the first person that said this. They tried to sign up for the Indiegogo, but it told them it was still in draft stage.
Okay.
So we have nobody signed up so far. So
okay,
we'll have to look into that.
That'll be the first thing we'll look into.
Yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I just got fat, and then I got unfat in short order. I remember I forget how many. What was the record number of books that like at any one time was it like 4 different?
It was like 4 to 6
titles?
sometimes, but it was probably 3 to 4 books like as an average. But sometimes it went up because Ultimate Spider-Man was bi-monthly, so we were putting out 2 books of that a month. We had Ultimate X-Men, so that's 3 books, and then we were working on the Demon for DC, and that's 4.
Night too. So,
Also, Ray Sulu
Thulu
said I signed up the other night. So wait, so can you sign up or can you not sign up? Because Yad said I signed up and Indiegogo told me that it was still in draft stage. When was that? Because then Nevercold said I just signed up, and then Ray Thulu said I signed up the other night. So it sounds like it's working. So check again and see. We'll look into that, but just.
He was first to the stream though, so early adopter. Never cold. And there was like 3 books, 4 sometimes I remember. One of those, it was just a cool thing. Like I remember you giving us an opportunity, to add another book to things, and it really was if you can handle the workload, we'll do it, and even though it meant more work for you, it helped, us financially, it helped us, just do more. And that was a really cool thing where there was no limit to what we could do as long as we could do it. And that was one of those things I took with me, I think, as far as how I conduct myself as a freelance or when I'm marketing, which is what I do now, is I do freelance marketing strategies, campaigns, advertising. So that's basically what I do now. But I took a lot of what I learned at Hack Shack into how I conduct every client relationship, and that's saying a lot. I mean, that was a really good experience for me.
Yeah, and how long were you there?
I was there 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you worked all the way up to the DC Trinity books, right?
Yes. So Trinity was the last book. I think it was like the first part of that I worked on. I actually the other day downloaded it on Comixology and just looked over those pages again. A lot of those books we worked on, you can get on Comixology, the Unlimited, and I looked back over those pages, and some of my favorite artists that we worked on, one of them was that Dale Eaglesham. He had done that Justice Society.
We did it was one of those event books. I forget what it was. New 52. It was something 52, right?
I think maybe preceding that, it was like the Justice Society. It had like Glory. It had Catman. It had...
Oh, okay, yeah. The series with Jeff Johns.
Oh yeah, thank you. And honestly, I remember inking going like, this there's a lot to it. It's very soft, it's very and these were pencils, and it flowed beautifully, and it had his very specific, very distinctive muscle, groupings. And I remember initially I was like, this isn't really my style. I'm not really, that's not my thing. And the more we worked on it, by the end of it, I was like, this guy is amazing. The stuff that he would do. There was one shot of a guy getting hit by a fire engine, and like the grating, forming around his body, the contortions, like just the carnage. It was absolutely stunning. And I remember just thinking at the end of the page, going, "This is beautiful. I love this guy so much." And everything he puts out, I try to pick up as soon as possible. He's amazing.
And then we worked on it was like a Villains United or something, and then there was that crossover. I can't remember. It was before New 52, but it was called something 52. If there's anybody in the chat, I thought it had something to do with 52, DC 52 or something, because there were 52 books. It was a big event book, and we did Dell's Eaglesham's installments on that series, because it was something with like wasn't like Black Adam and characters like that.
And those were right up his alley. Those big burly kind of body types, and he nailed those things so well. I remember just the hair and those pages specifically. I would watch over your shoulder as you inked the hair or the hatching or the feathering. I'm like, this is beautiful work. Any of those things would frame right away.
I wish Dale felt the same way. I know. Dale did not like what I did over him.
I saw what other inkers did on his work, and it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing, and because I loved his pencil so much, I loved what you did on his pencil, which is, it's a shame that he wasn't a fan, but I saw what other people did, and I was like, this is all right. Someone used a micron on this one. And this is not a micron kind of ink. This is not a style for that.
Yeah, I never got it. I must admit I wasn't really comfortable with his work, because it was definitely set up more for a brush, and I think at the time, I think I did some brush work on it, but not a lot. I was using a pen, so yeah, I don't remember him overly liking it, but yet we still did quite a bit of work together. But so there was that, and then so of course there was the Ultimate books.
Yes.
And what else did we do?
It was oh my gosh, it went right out of my head with that bouncing boy.
The Legion of Superheroes.
Legion of Superheroes.
We did that with Kitson. Mark Waid was the writer, right?
Yeah, and Kitson was the artist on that one.
Barry the unsatisfied with everything, Kitson. My God, I mean, not just with like what we were doing, but with what he was doing himself. Remember, there was that crazy. It was like a splash page with this crazy background, and then I think you had it like halfway inked or 3/4 of the way inked.
We finished it.
It was done.
Yeah.
And so then he sends like a completely redrawn pencil version of the page. And you know what? I'm pretty good. Like, I call them monkisms, where I can find like things that don't line up and things that aren't correct. And I swear I couldn't see any real change at all to the image. It was just kind of redrawn to redraw. And I think we went back to DC. I don't know. Did we redo it, or did we just?
We redid it. It was crazy too, because I had just finished it, and it took me forever.
It was nuts.
It was a busy page, and I was doing all the little jewels on like a little hookah thing.
It was like a
interior.
Yeah, but it was like a shop or something. So they were like all kinds of like stuff on shelves and
like baubles,
like little details.
It was like out of Arabian Nights kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was like a treasure room almost.
Yeah, a treasure room. That's a good way of putting it.
And I remember finishing it and then putting it in the box, pulling out the next page and freezing because it was the same page but not inked. And I remember standing there going like, maybe I'm having a stroke, because this is the exact. And I pulled out the other page, and side by side I was like, okay, this is identical. I can't see any difference whatsoever. There was no character changes, no head turnings, nothing was different that I could tell.
I think we got paid twice for it though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was so miserable inking it the first time. The second time through was
You know
even
what?
worse.
You know what the thing is? I think I don't know if we were scanning pages at the time, but man, you could really cheat that today if somebody did that. Like you could just scan the first version and then just put it into the format of the second one and then just say that you had inked it again.
Yeah, true. If you have no soul. So it was like Rathulu.
No, it's yeah.
With an alt account.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. Yeah, we'll troubleshoot this stuff.
Cool.
It's okay.
Thanks, guys, for
Yeah, it makes
giving
it
that a
kind of
shot.
yeah. Yeah. So there's that. So what else did? Okay, so we did Legion. I remember Barry really. He was really behind. So I remember. God, what was his name? The editor. I'm blanking now.
Is it Whacker? No.
Yeah,
It
Stephen
was
Whacker.
right?
Yeah. And he's like, Art, you pencil, right? I go, yeah. He said, well, I'm going to have you pencil some pages that Mark Wade's going to write up and to try to kind of catch up on the schedule. And so it was like a little backup story. So I think they were taking pages from Barry and they were giving them to me, and I was penciling, inking these little backup stories just to try to save the deadline. I think that book was doomed from inception. I don't think they ever got ahead, and I don't remember how that ended. If everybody just quit the book, or if they canceled it, or what.
Because I actually, it went on for a little bit after I think we were not on the book. Because I got like one of the collected editions, and I remember that, and I was like, okay, what did it look like after? And sometimes they just went like straight to colors, like they just the inks all together they had skipped, and just darkened some things.
Oh, maybe he started inking himself, or so. I don't remember.
Yes.
It was just a mess.
There was no ink on that.
It was a mess. Like Barry, I've talked to him since. We've done a couple conventions together. He's a great guy, and he looks back fondly on that. But I don't think anybody was making him happy on that book. Yeah, and it was a lot of work. So yeah, I wish I had fonder memories of the Legion of Superheroes.
I don't think there was. Truthfully, I don't remember ever thinking of any one of the books that came through Hack Shack as being like an easy book, or like the pages kind of being light lifted. It really felt like every page there was a lot going on, and for me especially, because I was still so new to it, that I look at a page and I'm going, okay, this is going to be 6 to 8 hours straight, and we had to do 2 pages a day to keep up with things, and I had to do backgrounds on at least 2 pages a day. So I'd be working sometimes 16, 17 hours, depending on the page. And when I got like a busy page, I was like, oh, just shoot me now. I don't know how I survived that. And then some of the times we'd get a big wide open shot, and there'd be like a couple of figures on it. I'm like, oh, thank you God, there's just a little bit to do on this page. And that was the reprieve. You could maybe catch up a little bit, but I remember none of those books being easy. There was so much going on, and there were such great artists too. Like there was so many good artists that I got to work on, that I feel incredibly blessed. I think I kept I bought a copy of every book that we worked on.
Art streaming, yeah. I'm back from retirement. I figured out how to set up all this OBS stuff and everything last night. So if you guys haven't checked it out, I did an I'm back video last night. So it was great. The chat really helped me out. And also there's some black and white preview stuff in that stream. So if you guys don't go now. Don't go now. Yeah, once this is done, go check it out, and like and subscribe if you guys haven't. And if you haven't hit that bell for notifications, and if you haven't liked this video, please do so, because it helps get the word out. So thank you guys. So and what else? Because I've done so much work, I can't really remember. So you only have to remember 5 years. I have to remember 35 years. So what were some of the other books? I mean, our main bread and butter.
Outsiders.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
With Matthew.
Yeah, he was awesome. I liked working on it. He's a super nice guy.
And he started just doing breakdowns just to get keep the schedule going. So I was doing finishes on that stuff. So that was a little extra fun.
And we had to do a patch over, I think it was a bed sheet panel over a page because it was too risque.
Yeah.
I remember that. I was like, we got paid to do a little patch.
Yeah, and now like they're showing Bruce Wayne's penis. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, this was two people laying in a bed, and that was it.
I think there was part of like maybe her thigh and a little bit of buttocks or something. Was it? It was the lower region, right?
It was strategically like draped. The sheets were draped, so you saw like upper thigh. It was less you would see on a bathing suit.
Yeah,
like a bathing suit shot, which they had later in the series.
Yeah,
or even just Starfire.
Even her normal costume.
Starfire's costume alone was way risque. And yeah, for sure.
No rhyme or reason. I remember working with Joan Hilty.
Yep.
She was the editor, and I loved working with Joan. She's dynamite.
She's so much. She's funny.
Yeah, she's funny, but I must admit, and I don't wish this on anybody or say that you should do this, but DC Comics asks for a lot of art corrects, a lot. And so I think it's one of the ways that some of these editors justify a paycheck. So Joan would ask for art corrections a lot. And so it just got crazy. And so some of them are so minute that I wouldn't even bill DC, because at the time you could bill for art corrects. You can't now, but you could then. And so I just remember I would tell her, "Yeah, Joan, no problem," and then I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't change it or anything. And so I would just send it to him, and you know what? 9 times out of 10, she'd go, "Thanks, Art, for making the corrections," or she just wouldn't remember. So then I started thinking, like, I don't think these are that important. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you start thinking like this
important,
is this is just kind of, I don't know, trying to adjust it. Like I said, I don't want to make it sound like I'm bagging on Joan, because I do. I love her, and she was a great editor and a lot of fun. But man, I was getting to the point like, wait a minute, I don't think these are that important.
Look at this one. Yeah.
She's not even checking these things out. She's not even following through on this stuff. So yeah, I don't say any new inkers out there, or any professionals that are, or people that are aspiring to be professionals, do that. Make all the art corrections and try to keep the editor happy. But it was more of just an experiment just to see, what would happen. But I must say the experiment, did favor me. And so the art corrections were less and less and less as we went along. Because also these weren't art corrections coming from the artist, the penciler. No. These were, from the editor. So, and then DC, I think they have you sign an agreement now, and it's like a contract that states that it's kind of like a one-shop like buyout. Mm-hmm. So your page rate has art corrections, and there's a couple other things that are included with your page rate now. So you don't get paid extra for art corrections. And so it was one of the reasons why I'm happier where I'm at right now, working on independence, my own independent projects, and working for myself, because I'm just asking myself to go above and beyond, and pushing myself, and it's better. And then I can make the call if it's justified or not, So if I'm going to spend an extra hour on this page, or whatever the changes are going to entail, versus, getting changes asked constantly and then not compensated at all for them. I just think that's wrong. And if DC, you're listening, you need to start paying those artists for that. Because I think what happened is, in the day, they knew you had to physically alter the artwork. Mm-hmm. So they would pay you for that. And for some reason, people have in their head, just because it's digital, that it's easy to make corrections. I'll tell you right now, it's not. The only benefit from digital really is that you never have to destroy the original. So if you're inking over or you're drawing over something, the underdrawing is always there. The original drawing is always there. So if you mess up or whatever, you can always go back to that original. So there's a level of forgiveness there that it doesn't exist if you do it on the board. Because if you do it on the board, you have to white it out, redraw it, and then re-ink it. So it's all physical and it's all, you can't see the original anymore. So you're kind of like, flying blind, I guess. So you'd always make a Xerox, I think, so you kind of remember what the original looked like, and then you would try to emulate that. So it was a lot more, I'm not going to say skill involved, but it was a lot more work involved. But digital doesn't make it any more easy. You still have to do all those things, and usually it ends up taking the same amount of time. So I always thought, time is money. So if they're asking you to do something more and it's going to take your time, more time, they should pay you for that. So that's my high horse. So
and that's in a lot of the freelance contracts that I have to generate now. There's only 2 to 3 revisions allowed, because so often people would come back and say, I want this done completely. We had to even put in minor revisions are included in the initial price for certain web design or for anything creative that we would do for clients. We had to really put that in there, and even if you put it in writing, it doesn't mean someone understands it or even gets it.
They'll still ask, right?
They'll come back and say, you know what, I like it, but it doesn't knock my socks off.
Yeah.
I want it. Can you try a whole new website? You know what? Just give me 3 fully functional websites, and I'll tell you which one I like.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to that clientsfromhell.net?
No.
It's the most infuriating website, because it just people write in about clients from hell. They're just little paragraph long stories. They're fascinating, and I love reading them. But I get this impotent rage where I just lash out at nobody, because I read them and they're so close to home that I just go, yeah, I've been there. I've actually seen that happen, and it's so sad that it's people get taken advantage of, especially in that in our art community. All these new artists coming out of college and just not knowing which way to go.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more exploitation that's happening in a lot of the different arts. Music, animations, storyboards, design, comics, you name it. So I think it's also a lot more competitive with the internet. So you're competing in a world market versus a regional market. So
that's very, very true.
It makes it easier for people, if they don't want to deal with you, to go somewhere else and either get it cheaper or I don't know, maybe somebody who'll give them less hassle about it. So
very true.
So there's that. So let's go back. So this is about memory lane. So let's go back. So what else? What else were some of the high points or the artists that you remember coming through the studio?
Gosh, because I liked working on. I liked working on Spider-Man. Like Bagley was a lot of fun. The webbing was murder. I hated doing the webbing because I couldn't do it freehand. Watching people do it freehand, it was maddening. So I'd have to get a template out and do all the webbing, and find the right size rapidograph. That was maddening, but at the end of it, it always looked really good.
Yeah.
And all those pages, the movement he had for Spider-Man was brilliant. I loved the poses. I loved those big shots, the big buildings. I knew how much work it would be, but at the end of it, you're like, that was so worth the effort. It was nothing worse than having a lot of work go into a page and go this. And there was a couple, I'm not going to mention it by name, but there's a couple that had a lot of speed lines, a ton of speed lines. There was motion lines everywhere. It was, I think, for a Flash book that at the end of it, I was like, that's a lot of work. And it doesn't.
Oh, that's right. We did
off.
a run on Flash too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really my thing.
I don't know if it was. I think it was more than one run on Flash.
Yes,
because then we
actually did some artwork on Flash too.
Yeah, so because that was behind schedule, and then I think I did some covers, pencils and inks on covers, and that was. Did we? I think we did one run. Was that with Joan Hilty or was that still with Stephen Wacker?
I can't remember specific. I want to say that was with Joan because we were so busy.
I think the first run was with Joan, And that was, I can't remember his name now, the artist's name.
Is that the one with all the lines?
There were a lot of lines.
There was Lashley.
Yeah, Ken Lashley, yeah. And Ken's a great guy.
Yeah, I've seen his stuff now. I like his stuff now. There's a lot of growth.
I like when he inks himself because, quite frankly, some of that stuff is like deciphering some kind of Russian code. It's kind of it's hard to kind of figure out what he wants, and I think those pages were very loose and fast because of the deadline.
There was a lot of. I remember at the time there was a learning curve for me. Was figuring out you kind of had to understand the anatomy or what they were going for, and not necessarily what was there. There was Popmon was what he used a lot of speed lines as well.
Pop was on the demon stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember every time a page we'd pull that out of the box, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many lines. You don't see anything. There's like a bus tire. It's a panel of lines. Yeah, I remember doing a lot of those, and every time I would try to go faster and faster. My nib would get clogged. I'd skip off the ruler because I was going too fast, or it would be wet, and I'd just stamp my hand in it and start without realizing it, and then I'm like, all right, how much time am I going to use using whiteout?
Templates is tricky because you got to make sure you have the right amount of ink on the nib, especially if you're doing a big thick to thin stroke. Using a French curve, so you have to have just the right amount of ink, because if you have too little, it'll cancel out on you midway or towards the end, and you, especially where it thins out, sometimes that's where the ink will thin out as well, and if you don't have the right amount of ink, it'll just dissipate and kind of the line will break up, and that's what you don't want, because those really thin lines, if they're broken up or they're not real solid, they don't print up very well.
Yeah.
So and then if you have too much ink, it'll bleed underneath the template.
That was a lesson learned.
Yeah.
I remember the guy that got me in the studio. He got in his head that you had to dip your nib and then kind of shake it.
I do. Yeah.
No, he wouldn't shake it.
Oh, he would. Oh, yeah. It would go all over the wall. Yeah.
The wall had a rooster tail of freaking ink up to the ceiling, and he wouldn't have any ink on his nib. He'd dip it, flip it, and then he'd do half an inch of line, and then have to dip it again. I'm like, he went through a ton of ink.
Yeah,
and it was mostly on the wall. But I remember watching him go what? I get that you're kind of monkey see, monkey do, but there's a reason you did it, which is to get the excess
Wait a minute,
off.
Did you just call me a monkey?
He's monkey see. You're the monkey do.
But I'm still a monkey. No, I'm a bear. I'm not a monkey. Yeah, so that's tricky because you don't want to throw off too much ink. You want to kind of just enough, because if that nib is too full, it'll cause trouble.
Yeah,
it'll cause some serious trouble.
I did that once over some of your hatching once. It was beautiful hatching. And thank God I at that time was able to do the whiteout, and I fixed it with rapidograph. I got it perfect, and I still had to tell you that I messed up, but I fixed it, and thankfully you couldn't see where it was done. But I remember as soon as I did it, I'm like, of all the places to just stamp my fat hand, it was this one beautiful little area with all this feathering, and it was stunning. And I remember okay, I can fix this. I can do this.
It happens. That's why also you can't get too precious about things.
Yes. And that was a good phrase when you used that early. Don't get too precious about it. That was
Don't get too precious about my stuff.
About your stuff. Yeah, your stuff.
And then after that, Rich was just inking over everything and throwing ink all over.
I had the blindfold on most of the time.
Sticking your hand in ink and then pressing them over the faces. That's your stamp. Your seal of approval.
That's me.
Yeah, so there was the Flash. God, we did a bunch of books around that time.
Oh, Huntress was one of them as well.
That was a mini series, right?
Yeah.
So that was closed ended. Yeah, that was fun. Who wrote that? Oh my gosh, I want to say Gail Simone, but I don't think it was.
No, I don't think so either. It's funny. I got that on Comixology as well. I remember how that was a really dark book, but it was fun to work on.
I was like, it's like, you know what? she needs to be in costume more. I don't like they want they want you to buy a book. It's called The Huntress, and then it's like Huntress Year One or something, like her origin or something like that.
They had Huntress everywhere, but inside, yeah, she was mostly prowling around in jeans.
Yeah, it's like, is that what people want?
Okay, well, I can do that.
Where's the super and superhero? They should do an Incredibles like that, Pixar. Just they're in jeans and t-shirts.
Like it's got those the tank tops.
They're like modern superheroes. No one cares. He just has like an incredible eye on his t-shirt. He's got a wife beater on.
It's stained. Yeah, I do remember getting a chance to work on, it kind of just progressed. It was like the blacks to the working on the backgrounds, and then working on background figures, and then figures. And that was such a great progression, and I really did enjoy kind of pushing yourself each day, and it really, especially going to Comic-Con, even that was some of the best memories I had too, was going to Comic-Con with as Hack Shack, but every time I went, for some reason I would get like the plague before Comic-Con. Do you remember that one? I had gotten sick at Hack Shack, and I remember leaning over a page, and I had like an ear infection. It's like my sore throat. All of a sudden, it went to my ears.
Are you sure people want to hear this?
It's not going to be too gross, but maybe a little gross. But it ended up that there was blood apparently dripped onto the page. I'm colorblind, so I'm looking at the ceiling or my pen, like, what just dripped? And I was like, okay, I must be fine. And it dripped again, and it turned out I had blown out both my eardrums right before Comic-Con. So I was completely deaf when we were at our booth. So whenever someone would come up to the booth and talk to us, I would just shake my head like a bobblehead.
I'm a little confused. You start off saying that was a Comic-Con was good memories.
Comic-Cons are great memories. And even though I had the plague, I still enjoyed going there. It was a lot of fun, but I feel like...
Even though you were bleeding from both ears.
Our booth neighbors must have thought I was a total... just a-hole, because I would look at them, they'd talk to me, and I'd see their mouth move, and I would just kind of shake my head and be like, right on, hey, you know it, and then that would be it, and they'd kind of look at me confused, and
I don't remember any of that stuff, so that's good.
It's all scar tissue.
So now everybody will remember it, because it's been immortalized in the stream.
It's forever now.
Yes, it's forever.
The plague.
So is there anything, do you have a parting shot? Is there any other maybe cool stories about the studio that you want to share?
Oh,
and maybe we should wrap this up.
Yeah, man. I think part of it, like the working with such like great people. I remember going in there, and it was so much fun. There was so much energy going on, and knowing what you were putting on the page was going to be seen by so many people. And like, how many opportunities like that are you ever going to get? That was a really, really cool moment for me, especially so early on and having no real training. I was just someone who loved to draw, but I wasn't trained. I hadn't gone to school for it, and I was lucky enough to get an in, just to do some real basic stuff. But get an in, under you, where there was a chance to progress, and it was based on how much effort you put out. So, like, from the bottom of my heart, that I will always be thankful for, just how much we were able to grow, and that I will always remember fondly.
Yeah, it was fun. It was crazy. We got a ton of work done and out. And I look back, and for the most part, I like the stuff that was done as far as quality and things like that. I'm kind of slowed down at this point. I'm kind of like quality over quantity. So I kind of like spending time on things now and putting everything I have into artwork, because comic books, mainstream Marvel, DC stuff really it really kind of pushes you into an assembly line kind of mentality, where if you don't get your stuff done on time, you slow the next guy down, and then so on and so on. So every time you spend an extra hour or extra day on something, that's an hour a day that the guy next on the assembly line doesn't have to work on the book. So you really want to make sure that you get things done, and you get things done on time. So it really is it's a tough way to make a living. So but I was young and and eager back then to get things going and stuff. And I really thought that that a studio was the way to go at the time. Like building something and kind of having a legacy of a studio. And the studio has kind of a legacy. It's been around for 30 years, Hack Shack Studios, and has had a lot of great people come through the doors. But I guess it got me here. But yeah, I don't know. So so we have this going. We're going to wrap this up. So thank you, Pixel, for putting the link in the chat. So if you haven't checked out Chrono Mechanics, we have a pre-launch page. So go check it out. Sign up there. And Pixel, I think he just launched his Cover Crashers trading card set, I think earlier today. So go check that out. There's a link in the chat as well. So thanks to everybody for hanging out. Thanks for making this a good time. And is there anything else, Rich?
No, man. I'm a happy dude.
He's a happy dude. Let's go out on happy dude. Okay, so thanks, guys, and we'll be talking to you soon. Like I said, I'm out of hibernation, so hopefully this goes off without a hitch, that we can put this up, and that there's no longer any YouTube situations. I still have to figure out how to hop on other people's chats and live streams. But, you got to learn to walk before you run, so one step at a time. So thanks to all. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, so thanks, guys, and like and subscribe. Tell people about, if you could spread the word that I'm back on YouTube and that Chrono Mechanics has the pre-launch. So thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your Friday, and I'll be talking to you soon. Later.